my thoughts. Now, you're also probably wondering to yourself right now, why in God's green earth are you wearing that shirt? Well, because I don't have a Godzilla or a Kong t-shirt. That's right. What a loser I was, but a loser no more. Because not only do I have an awesome King Kong shirt now, but I'm also going to rank all of the Kong movies from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite. Now, before you tell me down in the comment section to jump off the Eiffel Tower, please remember these are just my opinions, and I have this strange feeling that out of every ranking I've ever done, this is going to be the video that's going to get me some love down in the comments, that's for sure. People are going to have a lot to say about this ranking, I'm sure. Just remember, please be respectful if you can, and if you're not, hey, whatever, it's a free fucking country, right? So, with all that being said, I want to say welcome to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Mike, so let's get right into this epic kaiju-sized ranking right now. Let's slice right into it. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh man. I'm going to have Kong take the hit for me on this one, because we're going to kick off the list with my number 9 pick. It's going to be Peter Jackson, 2005, King Kong Remake. Yeah, that's right. It's bottom of the list for me. The 2005 Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong. Yeah, I know. Some of you probably already clicked off the video, but just in case you're still here, I just personally don't like this movie. I seen it back when it came out. I didn't care for it. I rewatched it again for the sake of this video, and I just don't like it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie because it's not. He did a great job. It's got an 80-something on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7-point-something on, I think, IMDb. It's got people love this movie. I went around on YouTube and kind of looked up comments and see what the general consensus was. This movie is widely loved, so much so to the point where I almost put it higher on my list just to not get the backlash that I'm going to get in the comments because of this. But then I thought to myself, you know what? I am who I am. And I'm just not a fan of Jack Black. I don't really care for his performance really in much of anything. Not that he's bad or anything. It's just he just doesn't do anything for me personally. The look of Kong is my least favorite in all the films. He has like a gigantic freaking forehead or something. I don't know. He just looks weird and unsettling to me. Not really a fan of that. I mean, there is good things to have in the movie, obviously. The fight with the T-Rex is really cool and stuff, but also there's a lot of filler in the movie for, I think, like an almost 3-hour runtime. There's definitely some filler there with the characters, and I just found myself like, all right, let's get to the end so I can watch the next movie. It's just not for me. Don't kill me. Direct all your hate to the stuffed King Kong at my feet. Not at me, please. So that's my number 9 for the Kong ranking. Stomping its way into my number 8 slot is going to be, yet again, another King Kong remake, and that's going to be the 1976 remake of King Kong. Now, this remake was good and also bad. The good of it is it did have very impressive special effects. It had some fun stuff in there, but it completely just pales in comparison to the original. I didn't find myself enjoying it all that much. I thought the characters were kind of flat, and you know, it was missing a lot of the elements that made the first one great, like all the fights with the prehistoric animals and the dinosaurs and all these giant creatures. There was none of that really to be had in the movie, and I really found myself missing a lot of that. And for whatever reason, Kong just looks creepy as shit in this movie, and I don't mean like in a good way. I mean like unsettling, like, I don't even like looking at it. It's just, it's creepy. Take it away, dude. God dang it, it's just creepy. I don't like it. So ultimately, I sat down, I watched this. It's not terrible. It's not bad. But it's nowhere near as good as the original, obviously. It's an okay remake. You take the good with the bad. It's just lower to the bottom of my list simply because I liked the other films more. Coming in at my number 7 for the Kong ranking is going to be the 1986 King Kong Lives. Now, this movie is kind of like the black sheep of the King Kong franchise. This is one that a lot of people hate. It's completely shit on all across the board. And it is definitely the one that is the most guilty pleasure-ish, if you will, out of all the Kong movies. And to me, there is some things that I do like in it. It does have a weird Kong love story with the animals, which is kind of weird. But there is a lot to actually love about this movie. I really enjoy the looks of both King Kong and the female Kong. I like when Kong fights the army. That whole like 2.5 minute scene is really cool to me. The characters are okay. I mean, you got Linda Hamilton in it, so that's a huge plus. Regardless of what her dialogue is or anything, just having her on screen and being an actress and doing what she does, I thought was fun. King Kong lives to me again. It's not perfect. It's definitely not top of the list. It's kind of lower bottom tier for me. But hey, just to watch him stomp around and do what he does, even if it is awkward with him and the other girl Kong, you know, I still enjoyed it for what it is. Guilty pleasure? Yeah, maybe. But it's also number 7. And beating its chest into its way at number 6 is going to be Son of Kong, which came out just a handful of months after the 1933 original King Kong. Obviously, you guys all know how studios work. With the success of King Kong, they fast-tracked a sequel into production right away, and I definitely think it shows in certain areas. But the strange thing is that I think Son of Kong actually is a good sequel. The things that it fails because of is mainly the ending. I like the return of Robert Armstrong playing Carl Denham. I thought that was great. And seeing the backlash of him bringing Kong to the city and the death of Kong and all that, and everyone's trying to sue him and come after him, and all the regret and the sadness that he feels because of what he did to Kong, and he says, I should have left him on the island, and all that. I really like that whole story, that plot line. That was all good. Honestly, the movie was a good sequel. It actually was a solid sequel until the ending. The ending, spoiler alert, the ending just killed the whole movie dead. All right, Carl goes back to Skull Island. They discover that Kong has a son, a baby Kong, right? A 12-foot Kong or whatever they said. Okay, cool. Kong gets into some fights with some monsters. Cool. I love seeing that. I love seeing the monsters go at it with the stop motion. Love that shit. Problem is, Kong's son just dies at the end of the movie to save Carl, and Carl rides back on a fucking boat back to fucking New York or whatever, you know, bye. What the hell was that? What an anticlimactic ending to the film. It's like, oh, hey, I feel bad about what I did to Kong. I'm going to go back to the island in search of treasure. I found another Kong. Oh, wait, he's dead too. End of the movie. It's like, what? It would have made so much more sense for him to build a relationship with the son of Kong, and like the movie could end on him, you know, going back to Skull Island to visit, you know, Kong's son and bring him food or treats, or they build a bond over time, and you know, he shows that he kind of learned from his past mistake. Not that he wanted to bring Kong's son back like he did Kong, but still, just the fact that Kong died in the end, it just took a big old deuce on the whole movie for me and ruined it. It would have been higher if it wasn't for that, but because of that ending, it finds its place at number 6 on the list. Number 5 on this bad boy that we got going on here is King Kong Escapes from 1967. Now, this movie, I really enjoy this movie, you guys. Now, a lot of people, like my wife, for instance, she won't even watch it. Just the cover of the box, she's like, nope, I'm out, not watching it, not for me, looks stupid. It's very cheesy, it's very over the top, it's very silly. The look of Kong is extremely silly. Like the suit they have for him, he looks goofy as all hell. The mechanic Kong is really goofy. The whole movie's goofy. But to me, I love this. I have a special place in my heart for over the top or goofy movies. You know, just shit like that. I don't mind cheesy, goofy movies. I've always loved that stuff. Two guys in suits just smacking each other and Kong rolls over. You know, I love that shit. That shit has always gotten me, and I love it. I love it so much. And for a lot of the Kong movies, there's always been a gripe about a weak human cast. But the humans in this movie were actually fairly good. They were fairly entertaining. They had good development in this one. And I really did enjoy that with this film, and the fights were great throughout. It had some great fights when he fights Mechanic Kong, when he fights the, I can't remember his name, God help me, the dinosaur-looking lizard guy, when he fights him. It's absolutely amazing. I love this movie, holds a special place in my heart, and with a lot of Kong fans, it does hold a special place. Now, if you're from the outside looking in, again, you're like, what is this? This looks ridiculous. Yes, it is ridiculous, but it's also amazing, and I love it. Mechanic Kong is one of my favorite things in this whole movie. He literally looks like Kong, the Michelin Man, and the T-1000 all got drunk and spent a night together that they're never going to talk about again. Thus, Mechanic Kong. That's what I think of, but I love this shit, and I know Bandai makes some King Kong figures from this movie. They're about 8 inches or so big, and they're like $200-something now because they're super rare, but I got my eye out and I'm trying to get them because I love this movie. So King Kong Escapes comes in number 5 for me. Number 4, 1962, King Kong versus Godzilla. Not the 2021 Godzilla versus Kong. This was their first time they squared off all the way back in the 60s. Now, this movie has a ton of nostalgia for me. I had this movie on VHS, and I used to watch it all the time. Yes, it's campy. Yes, it's goofy. Yes, it's silly. Just like King Kong Escapes, the suits look super awkward. But honestly, this movie just brings me to my childhood, and I am a sucker. If you know the channel, you know me personally, I'm a sucker for versus movies. I love versus movies so much. It could be a horrible movie and I'll still love it. I love versus movies, and there's a lot to be had here that's a lot of fun. Just watching these two on screen together. Now, granted, they had to minimize the size of Godzilla drastically to match him up with Kong, but still, the images from the movie when there's one on each side of that building, they're about to fight, and Kong's throwing rocks at him and spinning him around by his tail. I love that stuff. I really, really enjoy this movie. Like I said, tons of nostalgia for me, and the classic Kong grabbing the tree and shoving it down Godzilla's throat, which has become the eat your vegetables line in the Kong community, has been replicated and paid homage to in multiple films, including the 2021 Godzilla vs. Kong movie. They pay homage to that. It's just a classic, thing for Godzilla, or for King Kong to do, excuse me. Lots of nostalgia, a great fight. It's what you expect for a 1960s monster movie, but it's absolutely amazing to see them on screen together. So, coming in at number 3 for me. Again, this is going to be controversial, but hear me out. All right, hear me out. Don't let him take any more shit, please. Please, hear me out. Number 3 for me is going to be the original 1933 classic King Kong. Now, this movie would be number 1 on my list had we gone into this ranking talking about groundbreaking things or the effect it had on cinema and stuff. It would be number 1. It's not even a question. I looked at this list as more of what's my favorite, and if I'm going to sit down and watch a King Kong movie, what am I going to throw in the DVD player the fastest? Which one is going in there and I'm watching boom, 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 right? Amongst other things like nostalgia and the look and characters and blase, blase. It's a hodgepodge of how I rank all these movies. I'm looking through a lot of different lenses when I'm ranking these movies. There's no specific criteria. So the original 1933 King Kong is an absolute classic. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Also, the oldest movie that I've probably ever seen, and the oldest movie that is one of my favorites. And it's absolutely groundbreaking with the special effects that it had, with the stop motion and the miniatures and everything. It completely changed cinema forever. It's an absolute classic. There's no need for me to go into the story. We all know the story. The tower bringing Kong back on the boat. Everybody knows the story, swinging at the airplanes. It's an absolute... Honestly, saying a classic is almost even an understatement. It's an all-time great that has lasted over a generation, and it will live forever, just like these images that are scrolling across your screen right now. These images will last forever, and that's why it's an all-time great in cinema history. Rolling in at number 2 on my list is one that it literally took me all day to try to figure out where to place this on the list. And even as I'm recording right now and I'm looking you in the eyes, I don't know how to rank these last two movies. They're totally interchangeable for me, but when I get to my number one pick, I'll explain why it's number one. So number two is 2021 Godzilla vs. Kong. I went and saw this at the movie theater yesterday. I wore my King Kong t-shirt to represent my boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm Team Kong all the way. I'm not going to spoil the movie here, so don't worry about that. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it. It took all my expectations right to where I thought they were going to go. I felt the movie. It was amazing. I remember I was telling my wife, I was like, at one point I was just like bouncing in my seat, like, cause I was just having so much fun with it. And it was absolutely amazing. And just to show you how much this shit all means to me, horror and King Kong and stuff like that, and versus movies. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw this picture. That is right before I head out to the movie theater to go see Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't know what the hell hit me, what happened to me, but I got seriously sick driving up to the movie theater, and I pulled over on the side of the road 7 times to frickin' vomit, and I felt like shit through over half the movie, but there was no way in hell I was missing this movie. And if anybody knows me or my personal life, you know I could have got shot and my ass would have been in that seat. I was even making jokes when we were walking in. I'm like, hey, if I die today watching this movie, I'm going to die a happy man. So I'm not going to spoil it. It was absolutely amazing. I love it just as much as I love my number one pick. They're pretty much interchangeable for me. It was a great movie. Go see it. I'm not going to spoil it here. That's why I'm going to make it short and sweet. I loved it. It's number 2 on my list. All right, reigning supreme at number 1 for me is 2017's Kong Skull Island. Now, again, this is totally interchangeable with Godzilla vs. Kong for me for my top spot. But I figured because this is a Kong ranking, I'm going to put this at number 1. And it was my favorite solo Kong movie I've ever seen. I loved this movie so much that when I went and saw it in the movie theater, I went to my parents' house the next day and I watched it on their Fire Stick back to back. I love this movie. It's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Horror included, everything. It's in my top 10 of all time. I thought the characters were absolutely phenomenal. The emotion was there. Was it John Goodman when he's sitting there and he's saying monsters are real, they exist. And he talks about his wife getting taken down. He goes, I know what I saw that day. I love that scene, the emotion. The guy that was stranded, the pilot that was stranded on the island, the emotion with him at the end of the movie when you see him reunite with his family was emotional. Kong looked amazing. The special effects were fucking mind-blowing. Like, to me, looked better than Avengers Marvel fucking type shit. It looked absolutely phenomenal to me. I love Skull Island. I love the fights. I love Kong. I love the characters. I love the emotion. I love everything about it. I love the cover of the freaking box. I love Kong Skull Island. It is my all-time favorite. It's one of my favorite movies ever made, and that's why it stands tall at number 1 on my list. I want to say thank you all so very much for watching my King Kong ranking. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you're going to put down in the comment section what you all thought of it, what you agree with, what you disagree with, or anything else you feel like saying. Speaking of saying stuff, if you want to talk with me on a more personal level, you want to private message me for whatever fucking reason, you want to request videos, you want to shoot the shit about horror, you want to maybe post pictures of your collection, whatever it may be, Instagram right there is a great place to do it. Go ahead and follow me there. And as long as you're doing that, if you're interested, we also launched our own private Facebook group. It's a horror community where we all come together and we talk and we post funny horror memes and we post horror movie trailers and we talk about what's coming out. We talk about our collections. Anything you want. There's no rules, there's no regulations, just don't be an asshole, don't be a dick, don't be a bully, all the same thing. Other than that, it's free. So if you want to join the community, just go to Facebook and search This Is Our Design HC. My wife or myself will accept you right away and you can start talking some bloody good shit. So with all that being said, of course, I want to say thank you to anybody that watches this. You are all absolutely amazing. I sometimes can't even handle all the love and the support that I get from each and every one of you. But I want to say thank you all so very much. And I'll see you guys in the next one, of course. And always remember that this is my design.